Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Paramjeet Kaur from Khalsa College for Women, Ludhiana. Today we are going to discuss about the module Organizational Goals 2 Managerial Theories of Firm 2 under the paper Managerial Economics. After completing this module, the students will be able to know and understand variety of organizational goals, know and understand Maris managerial theory of organizational goals. Organizations survive for certain goals. These goals provide direction and show clear path to the organizations. Various managerial models applicable centuries back cannot be applied in the modern times. As the business definitions, conditions, environments are changing, new theories and models to manage organizational goals are also emerging. In the field of economics, price and output equilibrium can be easily reached under the assumption of profit maximization. But this assumption may not be true in all the cases. In the earlier times, managers used to concentrate only on maximizing their respective profits. This was the reason that most of economic theories proposed by renowned economists were based on the assumption of profit maximization. Slowly, some economists realized that as organizations were growing, looking only at the profit side was too narrow and too restrictive. A need was felt that theorists must widen their horizons as profit was not the only consideration for managers. In the modern times, the managers don't only think about maximizing profits, but they carry many simultaneous goals as well in their minds. To handle these goals, new theories have been proposed by the economists, which stress not only on profits but also on how price and output are determined by the managers. These theories further define the role of managers and effect of their behavioral patterns on the decision of output and price in specific market conditions. The theories are generally known as managerial theories of the firm. Goals and decision makers. The firms may have varied goals and decisions on the type of these goals to be followed depends upon the decision maker in the firm, that is, person having control and command. There can be three sort of businesses: sole proprietorship, where a single brain controls the entire working. The risk and decision making is in one hand. The goal of the owner is to maximize the profits. Second possibility can be partnership firms. Decision-making power lies in the hands of partners, and here the goal of partners is to maximize the profits. The third possibility is joint stock companies, where the people who manage are not the people who own the organization. The decisions of output and price are taken by people who are appointed to manage the business. Profits go in the hands of shareholders and managers usually get fixed salaries. These hired managers may not be interested in maximizing the profits, as they know that profits will not come to their hands. Managers in the organization carry many other goals in their minds. Managerial theories. Various theories tried to see the other side of the picture and did not accept the hypothesis of profit maximization in the modern business arena. They suggested that the goal of profit maximization was too narrow for modern managers. In the corporate sector, various other considerations except profit maximization motivate the managers. Managerial theories of the firm can be of different types: Maris managerial theory, Williamson's managerial theory, Baumol's sales maximization theory, Kefauver's output maximization theory. Robin Maris suggested a theory which laid stress on growth maximization rather than profits. He supported that managers try to maximize balanced growth rate in the organization instead of just profits. He discussed his dynamic balanced growth maximizing model in 1964 in his book The Economic Theory of Managerial Capitalism. Maris suggested that modern organizations were managed by the hired managers, but owned by the shareholders who take major decisions in the firms. These hired managers will not think of maximizing the profits, rather, they would concentrate on maximizing the growth rate of their concerned organizations. It is the shareholders who aim at maximizing their dividends and share prices through profit maximization. Maris proposed the concept of maximization of balanced growth rate of the firm, which he called BG. According to him, maximization of balanced growth rate deals with maximizing the rate of growth of demand for the product of firm GD and rate of growth of capital supply GCS. He connected the growth rate with the share prices of the firm and developed a balanced growth model in which manager chooses a constant growth rate at which assets, profits, production, sales, etc. of the firm grow. If the manager chooses a high growth rate, he need to spend more on many other areas such as research and development, advertising, etc. to create more demand and new products. Such a manager will retain a higher percentage of profits for the growth and expansion of firm. Due to this, the percentage of profits to be distributed to shareholders will reduce and share prices will ultimately come down. Robin Maris suggested a theory which laid stress on growth maximization rather than profits. He supported that managers try to maximize balanced growth rate in the organization instead of just profits. He discussed his dynamic balanced growth maximizing model in 1964 in his book The Economic Theory of Managerial Capitalism. Maris suggested that modern organizations were managed by the hired managers, but owned by the shareholders who take major decisions in the firms. These hired managers will not think of maximizing the profits, rather, they would concentrate on maximizing the growth rate of their concerned organizations. It is the shareholders who aim at maximizing their dividends and share prices through profit maximization. Maris proposed the concept of maximization of balanced growth rate of the firm, which he called BG. According to him, maximization of balanced growth rate deals with maximizing the rate of growth of demand for the product of firm GD and rate of growth of capital supply GCS. He connected the growth rate with the share prices of the firm and developed a balanced growth model in which manager chooses a constant growth rate at which assets, profits, production, sales, etc. of the firm grow. If the manager chooses a high growth rate, he need to spend more on many other areas such as research and development, advertising, etc. to create more demand and new products. Such a manager will retain a higher percentage of profits for the growth and expansion of firm. Due to this, the percentage of profits to be distributed to shareholders will reduce and share prices will ultimately come down. Maris managerial theory. According to Maris, the optimization level will occur when BG, which is balanced growth, will be equal to GD, that is growth rate of demand for the products of firm, is equal to GCS, that is growth rate of capital supply. Why balanced growth? Why Maris talk about balanced growth? The balanced growth viewpoint was a new step, as the goals or utility function of managers and goals of owners always have been different. Maris try to have a balance between maximizing utility function of shareholders, who are the owners of the organization, and maximizing the utility functions of the managers who have been hired in the organization. Maris explained that in modern big organization, ownership is divorced from management. But still, both owners and managers may move with the common goal of balanced growth of organization. There are two different utility functions for the manager and owner of the firm which may converge at the same point. The utility function that the managers try to pursue consists of their emoluments, status, power, job security, salaries, etc. On the other hand, the utility function which owners try to maximize include profits, capital supply, output size, market share, goodwill in the market, etc. Although utility functions of both managers and owners differ a lot, but most of the variables included in both these constituents are positively correlated with a single variable, that is, size of the organization. Size of the organization further depends upon the output level, capital supply, sales, and market share, etc. Why balanced growth? The goal of balanced growth rate can help in maximizing the utility function of managers and the utility function of shareholders, those who are the owners of the organization. The shareholders always concentrate on the balanced growth rate of the organization so that they are able to get a fair rate of return on their capitals. On the other side, the managers are concerned more about their own job security and growth of the organization. They will choose that growth rate which maximizes the market value of the shares, give satisfactory dividend to the shareholders, and avoid the risk of takeover of the firm. Therefore, the goals of the managers may coincide with that of the owners of the firm, and both can try to achieve balanced growth rate of the firm. Assumptions of Maris model. The model assumes that there exists a certain price structure in the market. The next assumption is product costs are assumed to be given. There is no oligopolistic interdependence. The factor prices are assumed to be constant. The growth in the organizations takes place only through diversification. All major variables such as profits, sales, and costs are assumed to increase at the same rate. Therefore, Maris assumes that the price structure, the prices, the profits, oligopolistic interdependence, stable production, and growth is only through diversification. Assuming the above conditions, the model favors that the objective of the firm is to maximize its balanced growth rate, which he denoted with BG. According to Maris model, equilibrium will exist when UF of managers and UF of owners will coincide and both will be maximized as well. Maris suggested that the organization can grow only when this equilibrium is attained between utility function of managers and utility function of owners, and both are maximized as well. Utility function of managers. The managers of the firm aim at maximizing their own utility, and their utility depends upon the rate of growth of the firm. The firms grow through diversification, that is, grow in size through the creation of altogether new products which create new demands, or by introducing new designs, models of existing products. Maris called it differentiated diversification. The rate at which firms grow depends upon various factors. That is, utility function of managers is a function of growth of demand for the products of the organization. Utility function of owners. Owners concentrate on maximizing their own utility, which is not based on maximizing the profits, but on the rate of growth of capital supply. Utility functions of owners is a function of rate of growth of capital supply. The equilibrium situation will be attained by the organization when it achieves the maximum rate of balanced growth rate of demand for the product and maximum growth rate of the firm's supply of capital. Therefore, equilibrium will be possible only when maximum growth rate is equal to maximum GCS. Constituents of equilibrium. According to Maris, there are two constituents of equilibrium. The first one is rate of growth of demand for firm's products, which he denoted with GD, and the second is rate of growth of capital supply, which he denoted with GCS. Now, what is rate of growth of demand for the products? Organizations can grow through various strategies. The most commonly used method is through diversification. As new products are introduced, the firm expands, grows, and profits increase. But as the growth rate increases further due to greater diversification into new products, the growth profits relationship becomes negative. This is because there is the managerial constraint, which sets a limit on the rate of managerial growth that restricts the growth of the firm. Another constituent is GCS, rate of growth of capital supply. The growth profit relationship in the organization also depends upon the rate of growth of capital supply. The aim of shareholders is to maximize the growth rate of capital stock. The main source of finance for its growth is profits. Thus, profits determine growth on the supply side. Capital will be available from the market when the organization is able to generate sufficient profits. Therefore, financial constraints may obstruct the way of growth of capital supply. A higher level of profits provides more funds directly for reinvestment. It also allows more funds to be raised on the capital markets. It therefore allows a higher rate of growth to be funded. This gives a direct and positive relationship between profits and growth. Firm's equilibrium. According to Maris, the equilibrium of a firm depends upon two factors. The first one is rate of growth of demand for firm's products, and another is rate of growth of capital supply. Constraints for rate of growth of capital supply are of two types. The first one is managerial constraints and another is financial constraints. Now we will discuss about these constraints. The rate of growth of firm for the products of firm and rate of growth of capital supply depend upon two constraints. The first one is managerial constraint. growth rate largely depends upon the type of workforce available in the organization. It deals with quantity, that is strength, and quality, that is skills of managerial team. The managerial ability to tackle a great number of changes at once is always limited. The organization cannot develop the expert teams at once, which can produce and market the new products. When the organization wants to follow the strategy of diversification, it has to make huge investments in research and development together with advertisement. When the firm grows beyond a certain growth rate, the further growth rate leads to a lower rate of profit. The diagrammatic presentation of the model discussed in the next slides depict the GD curve initially raises, then it reaches at its maximum point M and then starts falling. Constraints. Financial constraints. Finance may prove to be another constraint for the growth of an organization. This constraint is related to job security. It deals with following financial ratios. Financial constraints can be affected by debt ratio, liquidity ratio, and retention ratio. Therefore, financial variables determine the job security of managers. If these financial ratios set by the manager crosses the prudent limits, they expose the firm to the risk of being taken over by others, or managers can be dismissed, which can endanger their job security. Therefore, managers must keep in mind the aspect of job security while taking business decisions and making plans. This is the way Maris has diagrammatically presented his model. For the equilibrium of the firm, growth rate, GD, and growth supply, GCS, relationship must be satisfied. The equilibrium and optimal stage is reached when two curves, GD and GS, cut each other. Here, the combination of growth and profits is optimal. If the organization grows and GS2 cuts the GD curve at point M, at this point the profits of the firm are maximized. But this profit is not the optimal solution, as the managers may want more growth for the firm than is consistent with the long-run profit maximization. How much they want to grow further from point M, the decision depends upon their desire for job security. The same thing has been explained diagrammatically by Maris. Maris explained that growth rate of capital supply of firm depends upon the retention ratio. Keeping less retained earnings may slow down the growth of the firm as limited funds will be available in hand. When the retention ratio is low, the growth supply curve of a firm may be very steep, as shown in the figure GS1 curve. The equilibrium of the firm will shift to the left at point L, where GS1 curve intersects the GD curve. This is again not the optimal equilibrium point of the firm because here the growth rate is low and profits are below the maximum level. When the firm keeps large amount of profits as retained earnings, the managers are left with more profits which can be invested in desirable avenues to facilitate more growth of the firm. Higher retention ratio leads to more profits as well as more growth till point M of profits. But it is again not the optimal equilibrium. The managers may want to move further for higher growth rate and higher profits, as at this point there is no threat to their job security. They will therefore be encouraged to raise the retention ratio further. It means invest more funds, expand, and increase the growth rate of firm. As a result, the growth supply curve will become flatter and take the shape of GS3 curve as shown in the figure, where it intersects the GS curve at point E. At this point, distributed profits to the shareholders will fall, but they are adequate to satisfy the shareholders so that there is no fear of fall in the prices of shares and of the threat of takeovers. There is also job security for managers. Therefore, point E is the optimal equilibrium point of the firm. If the managers adopt a higher retention ratio than this, the distributed profits will fall further, and the shareholders will not be satisfied, which will endanger the job security of managers. The existing shareholders may decide to replace the managers. If the distribution of low profits to shareholders brings a fall in market price of shares, it may lead to take over the firm. Evaluation of Maris model. The Maris model gave new directions by discussing the concept of financial constraint through its three financial ratios. Maris growth maximization model has been severely criticized for its oversimplified assumptions. Maris discussed that the financial constraints depends upon three ratios which are fixed by the managers of the firm within some prudent limits, so that their job security is not endangered. The fixation of these ratios depends upon the discretion of managers, therefore it is an subjective issue. Attaining equilibrium situation between utility function of managers and utility function of owners is the ideal situation, which cannot be found in the conditions of uncertainty, recession, and sluggish demand. Maximization of rate of firm's growth and maximization of profits have been considered by the critics as conflicting goals. Evaluation of Maris model. Maris assumed that a given cost and price structure will be there for the organizations. He therefore did not explain how prices of the products would be determined in the market. The model ignored the problem of oligopolistic interdependence of firms in non-collusive market. The model assumed that firms can grow continuously by creating and developing new products, that is diversification. This is unrealistic because no firm can sell anything to the consumers. The model is not appropriate for analyzing the behavior of manufacturing businesses or traders. Maris lumped together advertising and research and development expenses in the model. These two factors may behave differently in real-life conditions. Maris assumed that firms have their own research and development division on which they spend much for creating new products. But in reality, most firms did not have such departments. Evaluation of Maris model. The problems with Maris models were element of subjectivity, restricted application only for consumer goods, uncertain business environment, no concern for marketing efforts, lack of in-depth explanations, and the models was based upon many uncertain assumptions. So students, let's summarize what we learned in this module. Maris put forth a significant thesis of firm as per which the managers do not go after profits but look for to optimize balanced rate of growth of the firm. Maris theory is an important contribution to the theory of firm in explaining how a firm maximizes its growth rate. Though promoting the growth of the firm is the main aim of the manager, yet he is also motivated by his job security. The manager's job security depends upon the satisfaction of shareholders who are concerned to keep the firm's share prices and dividends as high as possible. Thus, the managers aims at maximizing the rate of growth of the firm and the shareholders or owners aim at maximizing their profits in the form of dividends and share prices. Maris analyzed the means by which the firm tries to achieve its growth maximization goal. Thank you.